Hello, Gunner James 105. I have a couple of ammo boxes that I had shown in the kind of an overview in a previous video. And so I put one on top of the other just for the moment. This one here being the H51. And then underneath that is the H50. So the H50 is the metal box, fairly heavy metal, and then this one here being a plywood type box. So on these boxes, this one would have been originally a World War II, I think it was late 45 they came out with these, and there's things I've found that kind of conflict, or whether or not this was what they referred to as a jungle pack. It was for jungle or tropic zones, in that it had this sealed liner, but I've seen that before, so I don't know. I'm just going to say it's a late 45 design, or somewhere in there, late part of World War II. And as is the case with a lot of these, they were used over and over again and relabeled, repainted. And so this particular one would have been a World War II, but 1954, March 3rd of 54 to be exact. And it is a British box, and we know that because of the RL, which is the Royal Laboratory, and that's in Woolwich, at the Woolwich Arsenal in Kent in the United Kingdom. So they had relabeled this one, and it has the 300 cartridges. So up top they kind of had a way of laying out the things in a proper order, in a certain order, for because these would have different variations. There'd be a linked cloth belt for machine guns. I believe there was just the boxed rounds. So you'd have boxes as opposed to bandoliers. And this one here, you can see the Mark 7 is the type of ammunition, 303 ball Mark 7, and it would have been in bandoliers. They had boxes of 32 rounds, and there would have been about 9 boxes then to make up 288 rounds, and it would have been labeled as such. And so just skipping down, I've got again, this is the type of bandolier. You would have found 6 of those in there, and so they would have been on those clips, and that would be 50 rounds in each little pouch. And you can see that big X there. Now that is labeled, oops, that is labeled, if I can zoom in there, as well, maybe I won't, but I'll just tell you, that's a 1945 label, and then it was repurposed in 1955, just to show you the way these were reused. So going back up to this one here, that would have had a tin liner, the same as when I showed you the H13 Canadian box, and you would peel the top off of that. Those tops would be almost impossible unless you had one of these that was full, because it bends back on itself and gets chucked, and that's the end of it. So and this particular box, that liner is missing. So I will do a little close up on the inside and this sort of thing once I get this off the tripod. I had printed this off. This was something that you can take a look at if you want a little more detail. But this here is something that is available on the internet, as far as how those markings all are done on that. And then the same thing with the tin that I was talking about. There's a photo of the type of markings and the way the tin that fit inside of that H51 would have looked like. So the H50, which also would have been used in many different ways, it happens to have, this one here would have had the box is a 48. And I forget, I have to do the math here, but you can do the math. 576 cartridges in total, and it's the same ammunition, the 303 ball in the cartons, as stated there. And I believe that's a Canadian box. No, sorry, with the brown and the marking up top. No, that's also a British box. And originally, these would have been a green paint, but in the 50s they came up with this brown paint. So there's pretty much everything I can show you from this angle. So I'm gonna take and show you how the two work together. So hang tight. And so continuing on, this here has a handle that folds down, so that helps out with stacking a bit, I guess, or at least fitting this container into this box, because that's what this box would have been used for. So this one here is an actual, it's the same box as World War II, but this one here has stamped right in the lid that it's a 1955 box. It also has the markings over here. Now, there's some painting done on there, and I believe that that's some markings for the unit, etc. But you can see the H50 Mark 1 on that box. And so this one here seems to be, there we go. So just coming around the sides, you've got your handles, and you're going to need those because this is going to be pretty heavy. And those holes there, now from what I understand, those holes, if one were to have to ditch this stuff, perhaps off a boat or a ship or whatever, that it would fill up with water and sink that to the bottom so that it couldn't be recovered by the enemy. That is what I believe. And so coming around the back side, we're showing here the manufacturer, and it does show London. So as I mentioned, it was a unless it's London, Ontario, but this here, and I think we've got just a very faint 303 up top. So this box with its hinged lid, fairly basic, but its deal was that you could take two of these boxes and they would fit like so. So you'd have two boxes, and then there were a type of cardboard with some type of foam or felt or whatever spacer. And they would put those spacers in between here just to keep things secure, keep it from banging around in there. But that's how that box works. So the two work very good together, because you're gonna be loading these from the factory onto trucks and then off of trucks, and finally someone at the end of the line is going to grab those out of there, and then they're going to have that opened. They had inspection and sealing, so they were sealed. That's what you see there. So it was like a I think I have that information on that sheet, but there were a couple of adhesive pieces that would go across there and seal that. So the lid then with these just pop open, flip that back, and it's right in here that the wood kind of tucks under, so you've got to kind of pull that away from there. Off comes the lid, and you can see there's some markings inside of that lid, and this is the type of it's kind of a rubbery thing that the dividers would have had as well. That's for the dividers on the inside of this M50 box. And so inside, Just a basic plywood box and that metal liner. Peeling back the tab would give you access to what was inside. This one here, not much for markings on the end, but it does have the same clear markings on this side here, or on that side. Now there are markings visible, sort of impressed into the wood. It's kind of hard to read. Just a basic close-up view, I guess, of the H51. And so, not much more I can tell you. There you have it. H50 and H51 ammo boxes. Thanks for watching.